Okay, let's dive right into this.
Right.
Our sources today, they paint this really stark picture, almost, well, heartbreaking, really. They describe this figure, Lolo Jose, once, vibrant, powerful, graceful, the kind of person everyone looked up to.
Yeah, real presence.
But then they show us who he is now, faded, weak, and just profoundly alone.
It's that incredible contrast, isn't it, that immediately grabs you from these sources we're looking at.
Absolutely.
So today we're doing a deep dive into Lolo Jose's story. We're pulling from a YouTube transcript and a text excerpt called Lolo Jose, The Fading Echo of a Grand Life.
Okay.
And our mission, well, it's pretty simple. We want to unpack what these materials show us about his journey, from that life of influence to this, well, quieter, more isolated stage.
And what reflections come out of that.
Exactly. What poignant reflections they leave us with.
So let's start with his prime, though. What do the sources actually say about him back then?
Yeah.
What was he like?
Well, they really hammer home his physical and intellectual strength. You get these phrases like, mahigpit ang hawaki at ang lakad mahusang kanyang taklumpati. Basically describing a strong grip, graceful, confident movement.
Right, so physically capable.
Very. But not just that. He was makisong magdamit, so well-dressed. And he had malalim ang kani pag-isip, deep thoughts.
That paints a picture of someone really substantial, doesn't it?
It does.
And the sources even say, lahat sa kanya nakatiyuna, meaning everyone looked up to him.
Yeah, he commanded attention, respect, the person everyone turned to, it seems.
You get this real sense of peak influence, like you said, a life lived powerfully.
Exactly. But then, like you mentioned at the start, the narrative just shifts so dramatically. What about Lolo Jose now?
Yeah, it's a complete turnaround. He's old. Described with the Nahina Kakawan, a weak body, and they use that term Laos Na, which is pretty heavy.
Laos Na, faded, outdated. It's such a powerful, almost a brutal way to describe someone who was once so central. And now his world seems, much smaller. He spends time watching the rain, pagdaloy ng ulan, reflecting on his past achievements.
Kumano kanyang nagawa sa paglipas ng usino, what he'd done over the years.
Right, just thinking back.
And this is where I think the emotional core really hits you in the sources. He's not just physically weaker, there's this deep loneliness.
Yeah.
They say he feels lagi na lamang nag-isa, just always alone, yearning for even a glance from his child kahit suyap walang maasahan saan.
But he doesn't get it. That connection he's longing for, it just isn't there.
Seems not.
The sources talk about him living in the darkness of his hope, constantly revisiting this mystery of his unforgettable past, but finding it hard to really grasp that yesterday.
There's this profound sadness, ang hirap na nasa puso, the hardship in his heart. It's symbolized so vividly too. Ang sinanumaga dinanan ng ulan, the morning sunbeam, but it's passed over by the rain.
Wow. Yeah, that potential for brightness, maybe, but it's just overshadowed.
Exactly. Overshadowed by sorrow, disappointment. And, both sources really show this arc consistently. This towering figure from the past, now experiencing this quiet decline, this isolation, holding on to memories, but feeling that sharp pain of, unmet needs right now, especially family connection.
So this powerful story, maybe a sad story, of Lolo Jose. What does it mean for you listening? It's specific, yeah, but it touches on themes we all grapple with, right?
Definitely, the passage of time.
How our roles and influence change. The, absolute importance of family bonds as we age, and those deep reflections on a life lived.
And these sources, I think, through Lolo Jose's experience, they offer a really important, maybe difficult life lesson.
They really do. They highlight how impermanent that external stuff is, influence, physical strength.
Yeah.
And they starkly show that potential for, deep loneliness and neglect in later life, even for people who were once really highly regarded.
It's sobering.
What resonates, I think, is the implicit message about what really matters long term. They point towards, cherishing present moments, actively cultivating strong, lasting relationships. Especially with your kids, it seems to suggest here.
Because those connections, those human bonds, are what actually sustain you in the end.
Right. They seem to transcend the material wealth, the past achievements, all the stuff that might fade.
So Lolo Jose's story, especially that egg, that ang hirap na nasa puso, it really makes you think, doesn't it?
Right.
About what we're actually building.
Yeah.
Considering his experience, what does it make you think about the real, maybe, wealth or legacy, the kind that provides comfort and meaning when other kinds of power inevitably pass?